For those who've been watching the channel all throughout the season, this is the main driver of the 95 Civic.
Hi, I'm Joel. I drive the 99 Civic. Yeah, Ashton's been helping me out this season, letting me use his dolly because my trailer is full of junk and I don't have a truck that can pull it at the moment because it's an enclosed trailer and it's kind of a beast. So, luckily, this season has been greatly due to Ashton's help because otherwise we would not have made it through this season at all.
The amount of media work I've done with the car, it's been a common sight to see it on the channel. But I've also been racing with Joel for a couple of years now, autocrossing. And I figure with the ice racing season going on, I'm going to help out the way I can, since I know if I was in the same scenario, he'd return the favor. Apart from trailering the car there and the media work, I've raced against this car with my Accord that I've driven in the video up here.
Originally, when we met, it was at the event in Terrace Bay, which is a bit of a bigger race event for the autocross season, whatever. They end up doing about 2 full race days, 2 events in one day, and then I think it was one more race day after that where a lot of us ended up staying in an Airbnb for the night, and it was just a really good time. We ended up meeting there. I brought my old beat up Honda Civic that was half rust, half Civic, and he had a similar car, the Accord. And so immediately we knew that we were the same level with two beater Hondas. So uh, right after that, we were pretty competitive with each other, given that we were in similar vehicles. Time I had very spongy brakes. He had a very loose rear end, so it put us at an even match there. And since then, now that he's been closer to town, we've been able to actually compete against each other more with these two cars. Now that I've got the Ice Racer, which ended up coming from the old Honda getting totaled in an accident. It wasn't actually damaged too heavily, it was just that the car wasn't worth anything at the time. And that ended up helping pay for the current Ice Racer.
After racing with Joel in the Accord and another base model Civic, hi Sailor, come on.
Some puppy bloopers.
You want to come sit up here? You can sit up here, but come on. After racing with Joel in both the Accord and the first Civic, they were both automatic economy cars, and it allowed for us to have some balanced racing at the time. I've moved on to a K Series car, and it's not exactly competitive when it comes to racing a car with a D Series. It's got some work done to it, and just the platform's a lot more powerful, and I don't intend on ice racing that car. I don't see having 200 horsepower plus on a rubber to ice series to be very competitive, so I will be building another D series car. I've had one in the past and ended up selling it, but I want to get into running a car for this season, and I came across a car that is definitely what I'm going to be working with. 9 SI in works, so I will have a VTEC swap for my hatch.
Which is exactly what my car is running. Originally, due to the hatchback not coming in an SI model, as far as I know, the only SIs you could find were the coupe or the sedan, I believe. And so to get an SI motor, which is the D16Y8 versus the Y7, which allows for VTEC, you need to do a swap from one of those cars. So luckily, when I picked up my car, it already had that swapped in with the transmission as well, which is a bit of a shorter ratio shifting gear ratio. Is that right? Yeah, I think.
Yeah, so with the SI Trans, there's a little bit of a shorter gear ratio when it comes to the acceleration. So your first 3 gears, and then fifth is an overdrive. So
And of course, on the ice, we never really get past third gear. So after that, it's pretty negligible, unless maybe in the studded class. I don't know. Maybe they make it to fourth gear.
yeah, so with the plans of my car, I'll have a very similar, and I'm looking to be competitive with Joel, as we'll both be running EK hatches with SI swaps. And I'm planning on, well, basically replicating his setup in just another car. That way we can interchange parts and make it a lot easier for running in the future and keeping the cars competitive.
I think our current only differences will be the seats. I'm still running stock seats, which are comfortable, and in the rubber class, you don't really need as much bolstering just because you don't really feel it as much in the corners because, well, you're on ice. He actually has racing seats, though, like everyone else. I eventually am hoping to get to that point, but for now,
So I do intend on putting bucket seats in the car as well as the 5 point harnesses like we're supposed to run. And in that scenario, what's some other work that you want to do with the car? Because I know a bucket seat is something that you want to look into.
so I'm kind of looking right now with the plastic valence front bumper that comes on the Honda just originally. It breaks really easily in the cold weather, like a light tap and it's already a big crack and it's just gonna fall apart. Like my bumper is now half gone after the season, and so are my headlights. So I'm thinking maybe I'll try to do a more resilient front bumper. I've seen some people use like the magic carpet from different like conveyor belts and stuff as like a bottom lip to strengthen and just make it a little bit better. I was almost half thinking of just like trying to bend some aluminum or something as the upper part, but we'll see. And then maybe just like getting some like trailer lights on the front instead of the regular headlights because the headlights also break really easily. I'm currently missing a headlight. It would be nice to just make it a little bit more resilient. I still have some damage in my steering from this season, so I'm hoping that I can maybe fix that. I've seen some racks for sale that I might change out so that we have less stiff of steering. Because right now the steering is at the point where if you let go, it's going to stay where the steering is pointed. It won't reset back to a neutral position or anything unless you kind of manhandle it into that position. It's not the end of the world, but it would be nice.
Thing I want to know is when we're running on the ice, a lot of us change over to manual steering. I mean, with the D series, it puts a little bit less drag on the belt system, which I'm not sure if it makes a difference in the amount of power that you end up sending out to the transmission, but it allows for more predictability on the ice, especially with how light the steering is already. And these cars don't weigh much, so it's honestly not bad. Even the amount I've moved his car on the street or driven it around, even autocrossing, manual power steering is not a problem with these cars. And it adds a little bit more reliability when it comes to one less thing to break. In Joel's case, there was a hit that we ended up having that we believe caused the steering rack to break.
Or at least bend out of place. I'm not too sure.
I'm under the influence that the steering rack is binding a bit, and that's why it doesn't reset to a neutral position as the steering being stiff through the entire range.
Even then, still, the car's light enough that it's not really that bad. Um, the other upgrade I'd love to do is maybe something like a hydro e-brake or something like where I could get a better position for the e-brake. Because right now, with the car, the e-brake is kind of set back here. So when you're trying to like maneuver and you come way back here, it just doesn't feel great. It'd be nice if you could have like a quick just grab down, whatever, and be a little bit closer to your shift pattern so you can shift, e-brake, whatever, instead of coming all the way here. Otherwise, the quick fix is to just end up drilling a hole in the e-brake so that we at least have it not locking back into position like a proper parking brake should. Instead, that way we can just have the quick release. That would be a nice upgrade, simple enough to do.
The hydro handbrake, I do agree with Joel as the handbrake placement in the EK hatches. It's It's way back here.
And of course, a limited slip would be really nice to add. It would make a world of difference, but I don't know if I'll have that in the budget for this year or not. And also, that would kind of put us at a different position, so it wouldn't be as competitive between us if I went that far. So I don't think that would be something I would do right now, just so that we can be on the same level playing field, so that it's a little bit more fun out there between us.
So one of the things I wanted to do was I picked up a set of wheels that I'm gonna run on the ice racer, and they are 15-inch rims.
Mm.
So with that, my tires are gonna be maybe a little more low profile. What kind of difference do you think that's gonna make on the ice?
I'm kind of thinking that it could help a little bit on acceleration. From what I've seen is like when you've got a lot of torque, especially like when I ran the 13 inches, it was a really bad day to try them because it was so slippery. But the moment I got onto the power, immediately I started to slip the tires, which was affecting my acceleration a lot. I think having the extra like size to the wheel should cause it to lug just the slightest bit, which could cause you to keep more grip and possibly have better acceleration at the like expense of losing a little bit of that initial torque if you need that in the middle of a drift or whatever.
So you think running a larger diameter tire will be beneficial for the traction?
I'm thinking so. The only downside I'll see is like those really warm days where we've got really good grip. I could see the like 13 inch or the 14 inch being able to put down a little bit more torque and possibly pull on you. But I think on just a regular cold day where we don't have much traction, I could see it potentially giving you a slight tiny advantage on the accelerations. And then I'd be interested in seeing just having the slightly higher ride height, how that would affect things. I mean, it could maybe help for if you're trying to do a bit of a drift through a corner, maybe. I mean, you'd have slight bit more body roll potentially.
For the side of like suspension parts, I might end up going with a cheap set of coilovers. I'm not entirely sure yet, but I do want to set up the rear end of my car as a little more stiff than it would be from factory. In my case of driving the Accord, it is pretty stiff in the rear, but it's also raised a notable amount. I'm not entirely sure why, but I feel like that made the rear end of the car more loose, and I think that fits my driving style more. So after the cage is put in, I might do a strut brace attached to the cage as well, and that way just to stiffen up the chassis a little bit more in the rear. And then I might run some camber arms and stuff like that just to try to help that out.
Thought as well, maybe even like a rear sway bar could. I mean, I've heard people say that it would be a good idea, but it's tough to know because nobody really knows guaranteed what is the fastest. Because I'll see Lucas and his whole car is just side to side, bouncing up and down, loose suspension, and he can just pull on the pack. Versus, like, you see the accent, they're pretty planted and they were just pulling away. So I think depending on drive style, it's totally whatever for the setup of the car. I think the accent, the way they're driving it, is exactly the way the car is set up. I think, like Lucas with his loose setup, it suits his driving perfectly. So I think that with what you're doing, stiffening up the rear, it could help with your driving style. I'd be intrigued on seeing, even just for my car, going to a new stock suspension versus a 25, 26 year old suspension. See if that would at least make things a little nicer. I'd like to be able to get my rear end to break loose easier because at the moment, on like really slippery days, I need to go on the e-brake to get it to slide out because I can't get enough momentum to throw the rear. Um, but it'd be interesting to see. I would love to see how much that affects things because that could be pretty fun.
The amount of handbrake use I was using with the Accord, I was fast in terms of the times being put down that day. I don't know how competitive it would have been, and if that driving style is something that's going to be fast enough to stay competitive with the entire field. I definitely know that with having a very similar car to Joel, I could get a good benchmark for my driving style and the times that we end up putting down, as Joel this year got third place in the rubber to ice point series. With that, if I could stay times close to his, I know that that's something that I'm doing right.
Like even after the first two events, you would probably be able to stick with at least top four of the pack. I think especially like by the end of the season there, everyone was starting to bunch up together, and it's really getting a lot closer now that everyone's kind of knowing what they're doing a little bit more and everyone's running BlizzX. I think that made a world of difference as well with the tires. And I think with you already having all the ability to drive, once you get the handle of the ice, I'm sure within like the first few events, you'll already be up with the pack, possibly battling for the top three positions.
You have some faith in my driving. I mean, we've autocrossed for a couple years now, and you've seen that I've dived into a couple different motorsports. I've tried drifting, and I mean, who doesn't go ahead and drive around like a bit of an ass when it snows out with the truck? But I've gone into the driving styles and tried out new things, and I definitely think I have a good way of wrapping my mind around some sort of skilled driving, whether it's on the ice. As my first event with the Accord, I ended up putting the fastest lap, as I borrowed tires off Joel, but still, I have been sim racing for a couple of years, and I want to think that's helped translate my ability. And that's one thing I want to ask you is the amount of sim racing and stuff we've done in the past, you've done it prior to us knowing each other. Do you think that benefits your ability to handle the car out there on the ice?
I think the sim racing made a huge difference. When I first got into ice racing, like my first event or two, I was really new to racing. Like I think I'd had 1 year of autocross under my belt at that point, and limited on the sim racing at that point. And throughout that season, I would go on the sim between racing days, and I felt like just practicing drifting and stuff on the sim and then going into the car immediately having the muscle memory of what to do, or even in like an accident situation where I end up doing a 360 on the course, knowing exactly the muscle memory to bring back the 360 and finish it and get out of there made like a world of difference. I'm sure I wouldn't have been able to even like think of what I was doing unless it was for the sim, because yeah, like you get put into those tough positions that you never would have the chance of getting anywhere near that in real life unless you're on a track, which for most people is not very realistic because a track day can be pretty expensive.
So we do have a local dirt oval, and we have two of them here actually.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not something I'm entirely interested in. It's go fast, turn left. I mean, the people that do it, I got respect for them, as it is a competitive sport, but the it's not something I'm looking to pursue myself. So I'll stick to going into the ice racing and the autocross like we do have here.
Mm-hmm.
But as for actual track time, the closest track that I know of that we have is Brainerd International Raceway, which is 5.5 hours from here.
And
If
it's in a whole other country,
it's
so
in another
it can
country,
be a little bit difficult as well when you come to like money conversions or whatever issues you have at the border or whatever. So,
my time I've gone and I've brought my BMW there for drifting.
mm-hmm.
I didn't have a hard time getting across the border with what is technically an unregistered car to me. And as long as you're going to do the racetrack stuff, they seem to be pretty lenient about it. But it's still 5.5 hours, or with a trailer, about 6 hours. And the car wasn't ready, and I didn't know that until I got there. Like, for us to have to prepare to go that far, you want to be able to get the seat time. And unfortunately, I was renting lots on that weekend. But the next closest thing we have is in Manitoba, so the next province over, and that would be at Gimli,
Yeah.
and that's still about 8 hours from here.
Yeah. It isn't very realistic to go there on a regular basis, which leaves to, if you get the chance to go maybe once a year, or if you're lucky, go more often. But I mean, it would be really nice if we had something like go karting at least. But
Yeah, and as for go karting, our nearest I think is
probably
Duluth. Duluth, if
does
Duluth
Duluth?
has any,
I don't even know,
I'm
honestly.
not sure. And then Minneapolis would be probably the closest.
Or once again, Winnipeg.
Winnipeg area, Manitoba, but the one in Winnipeg sucks. So
It's not great.
um,
Yeah, maximum 50 kilometers an hour, and it's like such a short track.
I'll still go.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pass it up when I'm there.
Yeah, I'm glad we at least have racing here. Like, if we didn't have autocross, ice racing, dirt track, whatever, it would not be fun. I'd probably have to move out of here. Personally, don't love the dirt track just for the fact that now it has become so huge there that you almost get no time in the car. Most of the time is just kind of waiting around for your race, versus ice racing. It's just go, 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 go all day. Like, I got off the track, I sit down, have a drink, and I'm back out again pretty much. So it's really nice getting to actually get seat time, versus at the dirt track it is pretty chaotic. So it can be pretty difficult to like get in the car, especially if you want to stay at a lower budget car like a Hornet.
If you made it this far, I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the style of content with two of us talking. I want to film more of it. I do gotta refine my setup. I mean, right now that was filmed in the corner of my room. Like, it's nothing special, nothing crazy, but for the future, I do want to do more of that stuff, and I want to get set up mobile. I have some of my equipment in my truck right now, and some of it in here. I wasn't ready to film, and the camera battery on the A7 II died. It wasn't fully charged, and I was only running one, so it wasn't up to par for a full half-hour shoot. With that being said, I look forward to making more of these, and I want to continue to talk to some of the other drivers. If there's any in particular you want to hear from, comment down below and I'll try to make it happen. Got some drifting content coming up as the weekend that this is posted. So this will be posted on Thursday. The following weekend, I'll be headed to US Air Motorsports Park or Raceway, whichever it goes under, for the Bash Bros Round 1 drift event. And I got full media access, so there'll be a couple videos coming out of there.